to the Toy Rewind Podcast with your hosts, the Brothers Newland. Now, let's talk toys.
And hello, everybody. I'm Michael.
I'm John.
And I'm Andrew, and you're listening to Toy Rewind Podcast, just like the guy just told you. Just a little place where the three of us like to look back at toy lines from our childhood and give you a history lesson about how those toys were created and ended up in all of our households. I don't know about in our house this week. We'll see. This week, we're rewinding back to 1986. We learn about a GoBot spinoff released by Tonka. I mean, obviously, because they released GoBots. We're talking about Rock Lords, and it's going to get a little rocky tonight, I think.
A little rocky, huh?
Yeah. It's going to get a little rocky. But before we can do that, we got to talk about all those social medias, John.
All right, so check our websites out over at toyrewindpodcast.com or over on crossthestreamsmedia.com. If you're over on Cross the Streams Media, why don't you go ahead and leave us a voicemail on there. You can email us at toyrewindpodcast@gmail.com. Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch is all Toy Rewind Pod. Facebook and YouTube is Toy Rewind Podcast. We do stream some Toy Box showcases to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Michael, you put a video out there today on Instagram, right?
It was on the YouTube channel.
On the YouTube channel, okay.
Yeah.
On the YouTubes.
One thing we don't talk about with these socials is we are on Instagram as well.
Why don't you have it on there, John?
I don't know. I just reading through that, I was like, "Ooh, yeah." So
I feel like that got removed at some point.
I never noticed it wasn't on there. So
I don't think we ever had Instagram on there. But hey, it's another way out there to get a hold of us or to look at our stuff or whatever.
It's probably the most the one that we're active the most on it.
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out Instagram. So
I actually figured it out. It's the easiest thing really out there. So it's easier than Twitter. I can't.
There's a couple of things I haven't figured out on it yet. Twitter, I'm with you on Twitter. It's confusing. But also, if you want to play along and have a little game while you're listening to us, you can check us out over at podcastbingo.com/Toy Rewind and play bingo while you're doing it. Let us know if you get a bingo or just share your card anyways. Let us know how bad we are at not letting you get a bingo. So.
So that makes complete sense. Michael doesn't understand Twitter. John doesn't understand Instagram, and I really just don't understand social media at all. Like I just don't like any of it. I use it.
Say I like any of it. I
don't like it.
So I have a deal that I was trying to share something on Instagram to my feed, but it only allows me to share it to my story. But I don't want to share it to my story. How do you share it to your feed?
Yeah, Twitter is a lot easier about retweeting also and re-showing something. Instagram is really hard to do that unless you have a whole nother app. And yeah, it's very picky about how it works. I don't know. And being the web guy, I should know more about it. And I just social media, I just don't. I'm not good with them.
Yeah,
I use the chat functionality.
Yeah, that's about all I use on any of them. Is y'all all seem to have a chat group on each one. So,
yep. And you mentioned Cross the Streams and over on the website, Cross the Streams Media, where people can leave us a voicemail. We'd love for people to do that. Leave us a voicemail. Let us know what your favorite toy line is, the ones that we've talked about. Or if we haven't talked about it, let us know what it is because we'd love to chat about it. We're slowly, week by week, getting closer to that big 100 and our 2-year anniversary of doing the podcast. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's a big number. I've been leading up to this ever since I started numbering our podcast with 001. I've been leading up to this 100. So I'm excited about it. We'll get there. We got to 17 more weeks left. It's not too bad. All right, but to do that, we gotta talk about a toy line this week. I don't know. I'm not sure about this one, Michael. So I'm hoping some of the information you have makes it more interesting to me, because at this point, I just don't know about this one.
That's not too rocky. I hope I can do it. I just want to give everybody a heads up. My allergies have been killing me this week, the past few days.
And
so
welcome to Texas.
So
in spring,
it's the worst they've been in a very long time. So just bear with me, but I should be able to get through it. I'm feeling pretty good right now. So,
I mean, in East Texas, the pollinating is happening right now. Yeah. So we're right in the middle of it. So I can understand. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be done soon.
I think we all understand.
With some big storms, I'm hoping that maybe knocked it down a little and makes it a little better quicker. I don't know. My car's still covered in pollen, so.
Oh yeah, my truck's green, not red. So
yeah. Oh, my truck's yellow because it's black and it just shows yellow. So, all right. Well then, let's rewind and get into it.
All right, let's get to it. All right, so like Andrew said, Rock Lords was a spin-off toy line to the GoBots. You don't see very many spin-offs from the toy line. You see a lot of it in like TV shows and stuff, but not very many have spin-offs from the toy line, toy business like that. So it was produced in 1986 by Tonka after they were featured in the movie GoBots Battle of the Rock Lords. And this was like their attempt to continue the GoBots line type thing, because they weren't doing so well because the Transformers and everybody else, hitting pretty hard on all cylinders right at that time. Especially if you're in the transforming world, it was Transformers all the way in 1986 forward. So 84 they kind of had a chance, but they really didn't. After when they came out battling against the Transformers, so GoBots was in serious trouble. So they tried to do something different. So they came up with this movie that came out in theaters around the same time as the Transformers the movie. And if you never heard of this, don't worry. There's a lot of people that's never heard of this movie either. So it didn't. It's just like the GoBot line. It just got beat out by the Transformers. Even though the Transformers the movie, it transformed the Transformers into something different, kind of. So they went. Yeah, I feel sad because Optimus got killed, but if you watch the last season of the Transformers cartoon show, he comes back eventually, but. Spoiler.
Are you going to continue with the puns all night, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm just curious. I was just curious.
So anyway, so this movie didn't do too good. Like I said, this was their attempt to add something new to the line to make it to put something more into it, and so they had the idea of these rocks turning into robots, which. I don't know how popular a rock is unless you had a pet rock.
That was my thought about that, was immediately pet rocks.
Yeah. So, and once after the movie was out, the GoBots and the movie didn't do too well. So the Rock Lords really didn't have anything to do with GoBots after the movie, actually, anyway, because it doesn't say anything about GoBots or anything like that on any of the packaging. So it wasn't. So that's why we're talking about this separate from the GoBots, is because it evolved into its own line and not part of the GoBots. So
yeah, it definitely is a spinoff, but not within the same line. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, just like the other transforming figures, the GoBots or the Transformers or all that. These guys actually did come from Japan as well. They were from Bandai, just like the GoBot figures were. So they were part of the Machine Robo toy line, which were the GoBots toy line. We know the Transformers, the Hasbro side of things came from Takara. So Bandai had theirs, which were the Machine Robo toy lines. So in a nutshell, these were rocks that transformed into robots, and their tagline was "Powerful Living Rocks." So yeah, so they were alive. So between 1986 and 1987, there were 3 different series. There was a line of animal type companions that was created by Tonka. These weren't part of the Bandai part of it. It was just Tonka came up with these, but we'll discuss this in a little bit. And then there was 2 Rockosaurs, which were dinosaur-looking things. There was a combiner robot, just like you saw in Transformers that had the Constructicons and stuff like that. They actually had one for this line as well. And then they had 2 other vehicles that came along with it because they're rocks. They're not their own vehicles. So, packaging was a simple card and blister that was formed to the figure. It had a giant rock lava monster on the front of it with the tagline, which I said was "Powerful Living Rocks," and then the name and then it had the name on the bottom of the card telling you who you're getting, who that character is, and then on the back of the card had a 4-panel comic and a stat card. Similar like you saw with G.I. Joe and stuff, had the stat card, tells you little things. The Transformers had theirs as well. And then they had on the bottom of the card had pics of other figures from the line. So we'll kind of get into the figures. So you had Series 1. This consisted of 6 main figures. You had 3 good guys and 3 bad guys. So you had Boulder, who was the leader of the group. And each of these were made out of different kinds of rocks, so or similar like stuff. So the Boulder was made out of tungsten, which is a really, really strong, very, very hard rock. And then they all come with weapons as well. So the weapon what he had was a power sword, which kind of looked like a machine gun looking thing too. It really didn't look like a sword. It's just kind of I don't know where they came up with sword, but it looks like a gun to me. And then you had
it definitely looks like a machine gun or a super or futuristic M16 or something, with the magazine and stuff. It's definitely not a sword.
So the next good guy you have, his name is Granite. Like I said, all these were rock. They weren't shaped the same, so they all had different shapes when they were formed into a rock. Boulder was round, and there's some that are more square, more flat. It's just like a rock. If you look at a bed of rocks, and they're all different. They're all different shapes. So every figure was a different shape of a rock or whatever. So, like I said, Granite was the next good guy. He was made out of granite, of course, and then he had a weapon called a T-gun. Was what his was called. And then the third good guy, his name was Nugget. He was like a gold nugget. That's what he was. And then he was made out of gold, and his weapon was a Trigun. This little character was similar to like Bumblebee was to the GoBot. I mean, to the Transformers. I got GoBots in my mind. The Transformers is what I was thinking of. So Nugget is the small little guy that does a lot of stuff. So the 3 bad guys from Series 1, you had Magmar, who was the leader of the bad guys. He was made of igneous rock, which was the form of molten lava. His weapon was an axe rifle. And then you had Tombstone. He was made out of quartz. His weapon was the Reaper, was what they called it. It looks like some kind of big, flat claw-looking thing. And then you had Sticks and Stones, who was actually a 2-headed monster thing that he was made out of anthracite. which was or it's made out of anthracite and magnetite. So he's made out of two different minerals, two different compositions, and he's got two different heads. He's got two different weapons: his cactus club, and then he had a double duty mace. Is what he had as well.
So also with those two minerals, minerals, if you hit those two minerals together, it causes sparks.
Yes. Yeah, those two minerals don't really mix together. They do like anthracite's more of a coal, and then you have magnetite. And if you mix those two minerals together, it makes sparks. In real life, you don't want those two together.
Well, I mean,
I was going to say we're getting quite a geology lesson here.
Yeah. so that was the first series. It had those 6 in it, 3 good, 3 bad. Then you got series 2 comes out. It's about the same thing. You had 3 good guys, 3 bad guys. So they just kind of added to the line. And like I said, they're rocks and most of them were robots. They look more, especially the bad guys, they look more like monsters once they're transformed than they do actual robots. So the characters in series 2, you had Crackpot. He's made of azurite. And that's and then his weapon is a magnetic pulse gun, is what he's got. So,
which out of all of them looks more like a sword.
Yeah. Yeah, his actually looks more like a sword than the other one. So, Pulverize is the second good guy in this group. He's made out of dolomite, and his weapon is the arrestor, is what it's called. It's like a 3-barrel gun is kind of what it looks like. So, and he kind of looks like some kind of monster is what he looks like. He doesn't really look like a robot.
Kind of insectoid in the face.
Yeah, he just got like an insect-looking face.
But I do know when you try to open him up, and he stood straight, so it was hard to get him to stand up.
Yeah, he didn't have much of footing on when he's transformed. So, and then the third good guy in series 2, his name was Marbles. He was made out of marble, and his weapon was the impulsor. So, he actually looks like an alien kind of thing. When you transform him, his face has got the alien-looking green face with the big eyes. It's kind of what he looks like. The top of his head's bigger than the bottom of his head.
Double bubble on the top, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So, and he kind of looks like a bad toupee, sort of.
Yeah.
right angle. So, but those are the 3 good guys for series 2. So the 3 bad guys, you had Brimstone. He was actually kind of the second in command. And he was made out of brimstone. His weapon is the torture. And you'd think it'd be some kind of like a fire-looking gun, but it looks like it's more of an axe than it is a torture. That's what they call it. So then you have Slimestone. I guess he's kind of silvery chrome looking. So he looks like a silver nugget, kind of like Nugget was gold. He was like a gold color. This one's silver color. So no, he's kind of just opposite of Nugget. He's the bad version of him. And he's got his weapon is called the slime gun. So he was kind of he's a rock warrior with a different personality. He's short, squat, and disgustingly sinister. Slimestone enjoys wallowing in pools of boiling oil. He delights in using his slime gun to smear enemies with evil-smelling, sticky stuff that's impossible to get off. So that's what his little saying is. They got a little description of each character on the bottom on the back of the card as well. So
yeah.
That, and then the third bad guy in this group is Stoneheart. So he's made out of slate, and his his weapon is the slam ray, which again looks like some kind of sword axe looking thing.
Slam ray. Those two words don't go together.
No, they don't.
Right.
So, but he's said to be the largest and cruelest of the evil rock warriors. And if you look at his face, he kind of looks like I guess, what does it look like? Some kind of Sasquatch looking monster looking guy, I guess. Yeah. So
big old lips and stuff.
Yeah. So that was series 2. So series 3 has a few more characters as well. Let me go back to this on my notes. So series 2 actually has 2 more just regular series figures, and they're both evil. So there's no good guys in this part of the series 3. And there's also a line that that's after that we'll talk about this called the Jewel Lord. So that's part of series 3 as well. But the regular main characters are the last 2 in this series are Saberstone and Spearhead. Now Saberstone is the only female evil bad guy. And I'm not really sure what she's made out of. It's kind of a pink looking stone, maybe a pink marble or something, quartz or something. I don't know what it is. And then her weapon is called the 5-barrel gun. So
It's got 5 barrels.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Right.
And then to go along with that, you have Spearhead, and he's kind of excuse me. He's kind of got a little bit more kind of marbly like she is, but he's blue. And his weapon is called the 3-barrel gun. Wonder why it's 3-barrel. Maybe because he's got 3 barrels on it. So that's series 3. He had 2 new figures for series 3, and they were both evil bad guys.
They were really on top of that series 3, man.
Yeah, they were. Okay, so another part of series 3 that came out at the same time as series 3 were the Jewel Lords, and all 3 of these are good guys. So they had to throw some kind of good guy in this time or not. Or anyway, so you had Solitaire, which is the only female good guy. She's made out of diamond, and then her weapon is a dagger. That's what she's got. And you had Sunstone, he's kind of an orange reddish color. He's got a staff for a weapon. And then you had Flamestone, who is red, and he's got a staff as well. Now, these 3 here, they're called Jewel Lords. They are more of a clear top looking plastic. So you can actually kind of see through them a little more opaque. Diamond is Solitaire. She's made out of diamond, but she's got some blue turquoise color in her. But like I said, these are more of a clear colored plastic, so they look more like a jewel than the others look. And the others look more like a rock that you can't see through. So, so that's the 3 series that they had. There's a few other lines in this as well, which is going to be the bulk of what we're going to talk about. So you have the Shock Rocks. It's another segment in this line. It has they all have different kind of action features to these guys. There's 3 of them. So you have Rock Roller, who's the good guy. And when he put him in rock form, he's got one of those little things where you rev it up and let him go. He's got some wheels on him, and he just rolls. He just takes off. You rev that little motor up inside of him, and he rolls. So that's his. He's gonna attack roll is what they call the feature. And then you got the other 2. They're both evil. You got Stonehook. He's got a hook that connects to his arm, his right arm, and you can hook it up to anything you want, and then hit the button, and it pulls the hook in. So it kind of reels in anything that he gets. Then you have a rock shot. He's got a boulder that actually sits in his stomach, and whenever he wants it, he can put it in his little hand. His hand's cupped, and you hit the button on his hand, and it just launches the boulder at whatever you want it to hit, whatever you're throwing it at.
So as a character, does he just grow this boulder in his stomach, or does he just replace it? Because I assume when he throws it, it breaks up, right?
Well,
I mean,
no,
obviously not the toy. I'm just thinking about the background of what somebody's thinking when they're like, all right,
I guess it just
grow
he grows
part
another
of my
boulder.
body. Yeah,
I guess so.
like
Yeah, I guess he just grows back if it's. But some of these guys weren't in the cartoon, so you don't really have any actual.
There's no real
knowledge
background there
of it. No, there's not any background to these guys. So the it's actually called a medicine ball, is what they called it, but it's like a boulder that fits snug in his stomach, and then when you just pull it out, and it's on a string, so you don't ever lose it. So
that's probably a good thing.
yeah.
John would have cut it.
Yeah, and throw it at somebody.
People.
So that's the 3 shock rocks. Then you had the action shock rocks. So the action feature on these 3 weren't enough, so they came up with these little guys that they're like little, what do you call them? Little vehicle type looking things, but they're round, and they open up. The sides open up for weapons, and the front opens up for a weapon, and the top opens up, and you've got a little miniature rock lord sitting inside of it. And they roll as well. So I'm trying to remember if it's a pull back and roll or whatever, but I know they got a little thing where you can push it, and they look like they're attacking. I think you pull it back and you let it go, and it rolls towards whatever you're attacking. So these are actually the hardest to find of the line. These were not released in Japan at all, or Northern Europe. And then, Northern Europe, they didn't release in North. I got backwards on that. The Northern European ones were come out in a second color, so that's what it was. So we saw this in the North American area, and Europe saw them, but saw them in a different color than what we did. Japan never had these at all. And out of the first series and everything that we've talked about, they were Japan saw these because they were put out as the Bandai Machine Robo line as well. So these guys were never seen in Japan. So, like I said, they transform from large rocks to armed battle stations. That's what they are, armed battle stations, and with a Rock Lord driver built into it. Now, there was 3 of them. There was Blast Rock, which was a good guy. You had Sunstone, which was the bad guy, and a Dragonstone, which was bad guy. So they seem to have more bad guys than good guys in this line, it seems like. So,
I mean, they're rocks.
Yeah.
Aren't they all bad guys when you throw them at things?
I guess so. I never thought of a rock being good anyway, I guess.
I never really thought about a rock being bad either. Like, they're very neutral. They can become weapons, but like them themselves, I don't feel like there's a they're very neutral.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the next part of this toy line is kind of the weirdest part, and they're called the Gnarlies, is what these guys are called.
The Gnarlies.
So what these are, they're the companions to the Rock Lords, kind of like pets. They're pets for the Rock Lords. So to me,
so we have
like
pet rocks, and then the rocks have pets.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
And then, to me, these are all animals like we see here, but the top of them, they're covered up. It looks like a tribble sitting on top of them. So if you know what a tribble is, it's a Star Trek. It's a big fur ball, is what it is, and they multiply.
I
But
still don't know what
anyway,
my tribbles are.
that's kind of what these things are. So,
Oh, that
like I
bottom one
said,
looks like a Furby.
yeah, that one's gnarly. So we'll get to that one last. We'll have
All right.
he's
Snarly
special.
Gnarly comes last. He's
He's
special.
special. Yeah. So these, like I said, these are like tribbles, but with animal bodies under it. There was 8 of them produced, and then one large battery operated one, which was gnarly. So the first 4 are pretty easy to find. You had gnarly gator, which was an alligator. Then you had gnarly lizard, which was a lizard, and those 2 were actually bad guy gnarlies. Then you had the 2 good guy gnarlies. You had gnarly hog and gnarly fant, which was an elephant, gnarly fant, however you want to say that. So those were the other 2. So and then you had a second series of these. You had gnarly bat, gnarly rhino, gnarly lion, and gnarly baboon. And those are a little bit harder to find. So now what's cool about these is each gnarly has a wheel under it that when you pushed or pulled it, the mouth opens and closes and the tail wags. And then the body section that's covered with the fur actually kind of wiggles inside there. So it looks like he's alive. So it moves around. So these were created by Tonka, and they don't transform or anything. So since Tonka made these, it wasn't part of the Bandai line, so it was never in Japan either. So these are only found in North America, Europe areas. So, and then again, you had Snarly Gnarly, who was a large gnarly that was battery operated. The tail and mouth move as he rolls. And as he rolls, he the wheels on him are kind of off center or whatever, so it would kind of bump up and down as he rolled. So it looked like he was he was just a big monster rolling around. Yeah, kind of like a bull is what he looks like. So, 2 other figures that were in this line, they were called rockosaurs. These are rocks that change into one of 2 different dinosaurs. You had Ptero rock, which looked kind of like a pterodactyl. So you had a flying rock. And then you had Spike Stone, which was a triceratops looking thing, but he just had one horn on his nose.
So it was a unicorn.
Well, it was on his nose, not his head. So, and then the combiner. You had the combiner for this series. It transforms similar to what Transformers had, where multiple figures combine into one big thing. Like I said, kind of like Destructicons, they all form into one big guy. So you had rib cage, jawbone, hip bone, and tailbone. Those were the 4 characters. So rib cage is like the chest piece, the middle part of the robot, the combiner. Jawbone was the head piece. You had hip bones, which was the lower part with the legs, and you had tailbone, which was actually the back that came down for the tail as well. So this set was only released in Japan, and was released in the Machine Robo series. I think the number was RH04 was the name in the Machine Robo set. But this is another one of the most sought after pieces of this line due to its scarcity. When combined, it's still posable, and it stands roughly a foot tall. So it's a pretty good sized piece. It also has additional armor and weapons that you add to it once he's into his full combiner mode. So, and he looks like a big dinosaur type thing when he's in his robot mode. So as well, it is. It just looks like like a Tyrannosaurus Rex type thing. So, there were 2 vehicles made for this line. There was Rockpot. This was Boulder's vehicle, which was the leader of the good guys. When rolling, the conveyor belt, there's a conveyor belt on the front of it, and it's kind of a ramp. So when you roll it towards something, and when it runs into it, it picks up whatever's in front of it and rolls it up the conveyor belt and into a little containment section behind the conveyor belt up on top of the vehicle. There's also a pincher arm, which you can grab onto people, and then it moves over and drops into that container as well. And then there's also like a side rocket laser on the side of it that you can shoot things with. And then there's Stonewing. This is Magmar's, which is the leader of the bad guys. It's his vehicle. This is the better vehicle out of the two. It has a lot of die-cast pieces to it. It can transform as well, kind of similar to masked vehicles where it's one vehicle and then it turns into another vehicle. It's kind of a land buggy that transforms into a jet. So the couple of features on this is the nose cone is set up like a battering ram. You hit a button and it pushes battle rams in front of something, whatever. And then it's got a front and rear rockets. And then on the back of it, it's got a hidden laser rocket as well that kind of flips out, and you can pretend like you're shooting somebody out from the backside. So
this is really interesting.
I think this is probably the best piece it's the best piece out of the whole line to me. So
I like how he sits in it too. Like he's just sitting, like his arms are over the. There's actually
he can't drive because he can't get the.
Yes, that's the thing about these figures when they're transforming a robot mode. You can't really. They don't really. Yeah, you can't really do much with them. They just stand there. I guess
so
like
this
a rock.
To me,
they stand there like a rock. So.
This looks like an X-wing.
It kind of does
look like I kind of like it. It looks kind of like an X-wing, but like Hot Wheels got hold of it and made it one of their crazy vehicles.
Yeah.
And this picture doesn't give it its size really, because this looks like a Hot Wheel, like the size of a Hot Wheel, but you can obviously tell it's bigger because he's sitting inside of it.
Well, the figures are roughly 6 inches tall, somewhere like that. And if he can sit inside the cockpit, this is a good. I mean, if you stand it from the front to the back, it's probably a good foot long on this one. And the same thing with the rock pot. It's a pretty good size thing as well. I was watching a video. It had one. Some guy had it, and it's a pretty good. It's a big size. It looks bigger than what the pictures dictated as. So,
but this is really cool. I like this piece. I also want a gnarly, but that's.
So there was more that was kind of scheduled. Tonka was thinking about doing, but like I said, the line was kind of going belly up by 1987. So they had already had a couple things set up, and it was featured in their catalog. There was a play set. It was called Stonehead Playset. It was pictured in the 1986 Tonka catalog, and it looked like the head of the Rock Lords logo. It had a crank on the side that when you cranked it, it activated the mouth to open and close. From what I could tell from the pictures, you could probably put some Rock Lords inside of it, and when the mouth opened, they would roll out. Or you could just crank it and put one of those rock guys in there, and it looked like it was chewing up it was chewing up the figure. So, yeah, it's not really much to it. It had some steps going up. Had a little a sticker on the side of it. Looked like a computer panel that your Rock Lord can pretend he's doing something. It had a flat top on top where your guys could stand. Other than the little mouth moving up and down, there wasn't much to it. So it wasn't much of a play set. Kind of like what we talked about last week with the Power Lords and their play set. But
You know what the best part about this toy line is? If you only had one, you could go outside, pick up a bunch of rocks, and pretend that they were rock lords also, and you have multiple ones.
There you go. You come up. You
Yeah.
have your own imaginary rock
Yeah.
lords.
I mean, they don't transform, but you could just have them roll around together and be like, oh, yeah, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
There
Yeah.
you go. Just make your own.
So there's another, also in that, there's also a picture of this, the play set, and it has a crack, what's the name? Crack pot inside of its mouth, but it's a different color. So it could have possibly been some more coming down the line that were different colors. I saw somebody mention that the colors on the second color of that crack pot in that promotional piece look more like a meteorite. So it could possibly be that they could have been taking the storyline into outer space, as meteors or stuff like that as well. But it just wasn't meant to be because there was so many other things going on. This whole line just kind of fizzled out pretty quick. So,
before you started talking, Michael, I would have said yes. This line fizzled, and it fizzled for a reason. After talking about it, looking at these, and learning more about them, it sucks that these. There's way worse toys that had a lot more releases than this. I mean, look at Star Wars that had more release than this. I feel like.
Yeah, Star Wars wasn't.
And those RoboForce. Everybody remember RoboForce?
RoboForce was horrible. We talked about that, and it was not. It's probably the worst line that we talked about.
I bet nobody's going to send us a message that says, "Hey, we really love RoboForce. You should talk about it again," because that would surprise me. John, you pulled up some prices for these.
I did
earlier. So, what you got?
So I know that
this is 1986.
1986. This is the this is the Sears catalog that I found it in for 1986, and it's got down here the Rock Lord Leaders Hero and Magmar for $9.99.
So the Vendables, that's $25.86 in $2022.
Right, and then of course Nugget and Sticks and Stones is mentioned in here for $9.99 as well. And then it's got the Rockosaurus, Terra Rock, and Rockosaur. I guess that's the two names. $19.99.
So $51.75.
So for the two animals.
That's high to me. I can see these being $15 now. I think it's about $5 higher than what it.
I think the inflation's a little high with this, but yeah.
Yeah, I think. I guess $9.99 back then seems high for these anyway. I would think about $7.99, $6.99.
I will tell you, if you want to collect these, now is the time to do it. So, in the last couple days, I was just looking at some lots that went on eBay. One of them that had six of the figures, including the gold and the silver ones, and it sold for $68.
For 6 of them?
For 6 of them.
Okay.
And then I found another lot of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. A few of them are duplicates in that, and it sold for $1. So honestly, just make sure you're not getting ripped off and you're not paying more than what you should be. And just make sure you're checking. And that the $68 one had like $12 shipping. The $1 one had free shipping. So,
wow, somebody got a deal out of that.
They're kind of all over the place. I didn't see the. Could
you tell what condition those were in as well?
They didn't look like they were in bad condition. I mean, they looked like they were worn. Especially the chrome ones looked like they were worn a little. The other ones didn't look like they were in bad condition. They were all transformed. They all looked like they were pretty good.
I guess even if they were scratched up and stuff, they still look like rocks.
They just look like rocks. The gnarlies seem to be a little more collectible, as you mentioned. I saw everything from $20 from a gnarly hog to where's the one I saw? It was an unopened gnarly lion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for $382.
Now those last four I talked about, those were harder to come across as well. So the bat, rhino, lion, and baboon are harder ones to come across. So they're going to be more.
Yeah, I was looking.
The hog. Yeah, the hog was a more available one.
And there's a few that are in here like $10. $10 seems to be the lowest. There's a $6.50, but $6.50 to $10 is the lowest. But most of them are $35. The unopened ones are a lot higher. I was looking. I'm honestly looking for a gnarly bat. Figured it would go with my collection pretty well. I can't find it anywhere.
I need the elephant one.
Yeah,
I'll give it to Megan.
Definitely gonna have to look for these and see. I couldn't find any bats at all on eBay, so I'm gonna have to, if anybody has one and would like to donate it, or you wanna let me take a look at it, you should message me.
Yeah.
These are definitely. Oh well, we'll get into this. Let's do this. We need to rank these. So let's do that. Where do you guys think these fall for you guys, Michael?
They fall pretty hard.
I'm gonna put these at. Geez. I mean, I'm gonna put these up at number 3.
Up at number 3, right underneath GoBots.
Yeah, right under GoBots.
Okay, John.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing. I'll put them underneath GoBots. That's like 13.
Oh my gosh. It's funny because we're all doing the same thing. Now my GoBots is number 3 right now, so it's going number 4. I think I'm actually going to go number 3 and put these above GoBots. That vehicle, the gnarly, I think those are the few things that Tonka did to kind of change it up a little bit more from what they were just getting from Bandai, I think advances this a little bit more. I wish there was some more. Yes, they're rocks and they transform into robot, but they seem like they kind of cool. Like
I like these. The only reason why GoBots is higher is because they're GoBots for vehicles. You know, I'm a big vehicle car guy, right. So that's why GoBots is slightly right above this. But I do like these. I think it's pretty cool.
I don't know which one it is or where or how, but I do remember playing with one of these.
I think we had. I remember having one, maybe two in our
because I remember the rocks for some.
I remember rocks transforming, and now my only question is: did I have something that was from? I feel like there was maybe something from McDonald's or something, but.
Yeah, I remember some of those too, but
I don't know. Like these seem like this would be something that we would have. So I don't know. I think these are kind of cool. Like I said, I kind of made the joke about the geology lesson, but I mean they stuck with it. They were like, "Hey, let's make this, silver turn into." They stuck with that and they kind of made it that way. Yeah. So if you're gonna do it right. So
yeah,
kind of think they had a good start. They just wrong timing, because Transformers were so strong. This is wrong timing for them. That's about it.
Well, they didn't have anything else going on with this line other than just that one little movie where they appeared in the GoBot movie. So I mean, that was it. There was no other like GoBots. At least GoBots had a cartoon series with them.
They should have put more into it,
but they didn't have any. As far as I saw, I didn't see any comic books or anything that went along with this. It was just, I think there was I think the commercial for these used some kind of Hanna-Barbera type, because Hanna-Barbera did the GoBots. So I think they had something planning, but it never grew into fruition. Never happened. So that's why it just kind of fizzled out quicker, because there was nothing else to go with this. And, the GoBots were already going out the door. So moving on into history. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, it is time for everybody's favorite new segment.
Oh, and you got to remember, 1986 is the same time Nintendo was hitting too, about that time. So, like we said
Yep.
before, it's just a dread for all the toy lines.
Just bad timing. So,
Yes.
John,
Did Larry have it?
that's actually a pretty good one. I could probably pull that one. That's actually
There you
pretty good
go.
one. All right, here we go. Larry, did he have it? Michael, you think he had it?
I don't think he did.
John?
I'm going to say yes.
You're gonna say yes. You just like to be different, don't you, John?
Yes.
That way we're covered either way.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Hey, it's Larry from the STS guys. Another episode, another figure line I've never heard of. Rock Lords, eh? No, I didn't have Rock Lords. I don't even remember these, man.
So no Rock Lords for Larry.
I figured it might have been just right before Larry's time for these. So.
And now that he's going to listen to this episode to find out about them, hopefully maybe he'll be like, yeah, maybe I should get one of those, add it to the collection. I think these are kind of cool, like I said, but that's
I
just
like
me.
them. I dig them.
All right. Before we wrap this episode, I think we need to address something that happened yesterday. As of this podcast releasing, if you are a fan of the Dorksmen, you know that they have now moved to Thursdays. They are trying to compete with us. That is not the reason we dropped this on Friday. We just had a scheduling conflict with recording for the last couple of weeks. We'll be back to Thursday very soon. But with that, I just want to address, do you guys really think Clint would be able to hold up with us as the fourth Newland brother? Because I'm not thinking he would be able to.
No.
Like, I know we seem a little tame, but
I think he can out talk us on the podcast, but in person, he can't hang.
Clint
with
can
us.
out talk anybody. But I think that's just like his magical power to BS anything he wanted to BS. I just don't think he'd be able to really hang with us.
I think listening to their podcast. If anybody hasn't heard their podcast, needs to go listen to them. They just talk about all different kinds of things. But I think Clint had long hair and he got it cut for charity.
Yep.
And
St. Baldrick's.
So he's got So he's got a haircut similar to Andrew's here now.
Except mine's a little longer now because I haven't shaved it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So he just got it cut. Shaved it pretty good. So
yeah, he's shaved it pretty good.
But I think that's where Joey had mentioned him being looking similar more to you than what me and John look like you, Andrew.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I mean that just has to do with the fact that he had a little bit of a beard and has a shaved head now, especially compared to his long hair. Wow. More power to the guy. He grew that for like 3 years. I don't think I can do it. I could barely go 2 weeks without shaving my head before it starts to drive me crazy. So 3 years, I just don't think he'd be able to hang with us. Clint, anytime you're in East Texas, feel free to come by and let's find out. I'm sure we can have some fun with that. With that, if you're listening to us and you've never heard us talk about the Cross the Streams Network, you haven't listened to us much and you skipped the first part of this episode. So go back and listen to that. We are part of the Cross the Streams Network with the Dorksmen, the STS guys, Secondary Heroes, Three Beers on the Mic, the Movie Gap, the Dan Aykroyd podcast, the Burt Reynolds and Charles Bronson podcast, Front Row Negative, the Art of the Boar, Beering Ain't Easy. And I'm pulling up the website because we have a couple new ones. And I don't know, they're not on my list. I need to add them. Deep Dive into a Dive Bar and Hot Tub Beer podcast. And then Which is More Gooder? Is it? Yeah, Gooder. Okay, it is a G. I'm not sure about those. I haven't listened to any of those three yet. But everybody else has a great podcast that's on the network. Go listen to them. They're, different niches. We're all kind of trying to expand a little bit. We're happy to be part of the group. With that, you can go to crossstreamsmedia.com, find our podcast, and leave us a voicemail. Let us know what your favorite toy lines are. Let us know if we've done your favorite toy line, if we've talked about it. Because if we haven't, we'll be happy to do it and give you a history lesson on how that toy got made and ended up in our houses. I think that's it. Did I cover everything? Oh, follow our social medias. You don't want to miss those. Michael dropped a toy. It was not a Hot Wheels. It was an Auto World video.
Auto
today,
World.
correct?
Yeah, some new stuff I got in. So it's if you go to the YouTube channel, there's a new playlist on there for diecast. Dropped that in that.
Yeah.
I'm going to start adding more to that and then more to the toy box showcase. And then we've got some write-ups that me and John have to catch up to.
Yeah, I've got a few more.
So,
I got to finish opening some turtles and checking those out and getting stuff done. So we're growing some content. We got some content here we want to give you guys. So be sure you're ingesting it, because that's what we put it there for. A spoiler alert. Next week, we will dive more into do you think Clint will be able to hang with the Newland brothers? Because we're going to have Joey on from the Dorksman to talk about the toy line. He hasn't been here since we talked about Mask, but we're going to have him on to talk about another toy line. And I'm sure that topic will come up.
Yeah. We'll bring it
Anything else? Yeah, we'll bring it up. It'll definitely be in my show notes. Don't worry. All right. Anything we want to add about Rock Lords?
Nope. I think we rolled all the way down the hill with it.
We crushed it.
That's exactly what I figured you guys would say.
Yeah. Like I said, I dig the line, so it's pretty good. Pretty cool.
Any more? Just want to make sure we get them all out there. Why not, right? All right. Well, then, on behalf of the Brothers Newland here at the Toy Rewind podcast, keep rolling.
You've been listening to the Toy Rewind podcast. Follow and join in the conversations at toyrewindpodcast.com.